March 14th.
Matter proceeds.
We're gonna cover today.
And when come the time of
Page
negotiation,
71.
he puts a rather
Ashatpadi number
unreasonable
27, and then we'll start with Mahalla Pehla Artija.
And the company says that's fine. So no matter what he says, he's running out of reasons to now elegantly withdraw out of it. So now the question is, as far as company is concerned, he has left him with no choice but to come and join. Now he has one of the two ways to look at it. He can fall into the trap that I didn't have a choice. What could I do now? I'm running out of excuses. Or he can look at another way also, that somehow or other nature wants me to go there. It's setting these circumstances for me, and it's pushing me very hard, even though I was not looking for it, I didn't want to do it. So if the nature is pushing me, now I have a dilemma. Is nature testing me? See how strong a resolve I had? Or nature is really trying to send me there to teach me some other lessons or create some other scenario? So now the question before every one of us is, which is it? Is the nature creating circumstances for this particular entity to go through certain experiences? Or the nature is testing the resolve to not to move? Does he have a choice in the matter or not? Anybody wants to take on it? That's the first conclusion. You are never ever out of choices. The choice may be unpleasant, uncomfortable, downright painful. You are never out of choices. That's the one inescapable conclusion that I wanted to bring. Now let's look at the other side of it. Okay, I do have a choice. I'm not out of choice. They are not putting the any kind of such conditions that I cannot say no. Or the question now before is going there is the right thing to do, or refusing there is the right thing to do? How would you decide that? What is the destiny? Is the nature, no matter what comes out of my mouth, immediately negates it by saying, yeah, go ahead, you got it, but go there?
We can look at it our own interest or interest with which it was motivation was or is. If the motivation is that it's for the benefit of others, for understanding, or then it says okay, whatever the circumstances. If the benefit is for me, is then different angle. That I want to continue these set of circumstances.
So let's take both sides of this. When it is a pure business transaction, right? Of course, the company came after the person because there is certain benefit they want to take out of the person, and they are willing to compensate him for that exchange. So now that's a neutral ground. That's okay. But let's play the other game that Diwan Sahib just brought. Imagine it is for others. Actually, I am standing on that dilemma right now. That's why I asked you that question. And the topic today, the topic is that. Topic is that.
Somebody's bringing things, always bringing things together.
Aren't they? Yes, that also. And isn't that already the hukum, that when all the things that you are doing to avoid it, you are already being pushed? In what form the hukum would you accept? Would you toss a coin? How would you accept? Okay, and I'm standing on that cross section right now.
Mostly Americans, they say, give me a sign. And they get some kind of...
And what is normally that sign? Some lightning strike somewhere?
No, they get some kind of thinking it's processing on that side, and then you make a choice.
Okay.
That's what they call a sign.
What you're doing is you're giving voice. In a voice, you're giving it, okay, I'm ready to listen. Voice. And then take a decision that you open to
The inner voice.
Okay. Now let's ask the Guru what he says. Let me tell you all my dilemma is, by the way, so that I'm not leaving you. Last Sunday, I announced to the congregation that this Sunday would be the last session because the organization wants that time slot for themselves. They sent an email today saying we would like you to continue but on alternate weeks. First and third Sunday of every month. We don't want you to cut out completely. And I am now at the intersection. Because I see the political energy that's behind it. And I don't want to play the political ball game. So my first reaction was, I said that, announced it, and I'm going to just stick with that and say. And then Diwan Sahib just mentioned that you have to put in that decision on the other side of the balance how much it is for you and how much it is for others. Okay. So now, that is the thing that I'm weighing right now. And I have to come to within myself a resolution before 11 o'clock Sunday morning as to what's going to come out of my mouth there. Okay. And these are day-to-day comments, issues. Now, and I can take the excuse, I was left with no choice. They are absolutely pushing me sometime this way, sometime that way, sometime, and I have accommodated them every which way, and they don't stop playing politics with me. Okay, now I can take that explanation and say I didn't have a choice. I had to cut it out. And that would be a complete delusional self kind of a serving logic. And I can argue with everybody and it will be no win situation. Let's ask Gurbani, when we get to that type of a stage, how do we decide? What really happens? This is where this starts. Mahla Panjava, Ghar Bhanjava, Jano Nahi, Bhave, Kavan Bata. humans are never ever going to know which is that word, which is that decision, which is that conclusion, which is going to completely satisfy him or overwhelm him. So stop worrying about it. God, I am doing this right or not? Give me a signal. The reality is that the signal you are going to give to yourself and say, I got it. Because he isn't sitting up there with a magic marker in his hand and writing down something for you.
Or he might send somebody to talk to you.
Yes,
Talk to you.
angel.
Yeah, send somebody to talk to you.
Yeah.
All those angels are your own projection.
Now, God is giving you talk.
That's what I'm saying. These are so-called, somebody comes, sits down and talks to you, you know, you will pick something out of that statement and say, you know, I got it. That fits. I got it. Why? Because you are primed up. Psychologically, mentally, emotionally, you are primed up. And you will attract the energy that you are primed for. And Gurbani is saying, stop playing games with yourself. Okay, fine. Do you mean to tell me that I should now get paralyzed and do nothing? He said, Jano nahi bhave kavan bata man khoj. You got to go inside. Stop looking for the signals outside. See, what we are used to, Gurbani has turned it on the head and said, stop praying and stop asking and stop doing this. It is not, whatever happens is going to be your own projection.
Sometimes I needed to hear certain things, okay? And when I come here and sit and you are saying, okay, how many times can it be coincidence? See, I was ready to listen to you a year ago, I am ready to listen to you now.
But isn't that what we start the conversation? The nature creates set of circumstances for you. Whether you accept it or whether you push it back is your decision. That was the whole premises of our conversation. This young man is asking, I asked more money than I could have asked otherwise, and they said yes. I said, I can't join you under these conditions. They said those conditions are gone. And no matter what I did, they kept on saying yes, 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 yes. Is this nature's way of telling me you need to move? Or is it nature's way of testing me? How sincere I am in not moving. And Gurbani is saying that answer is not going to come from outside. It's not going to come from outside. That effort would be completely wasted. Man khoj marg. You have to go in a quietude environment and let the voice from inside rise above all the noise. And whatever rises above, that is your destiny. Whether the result turns out to be right or wrong, it was meant to show you, it was meant to take you there, so that nature could give you that experience. Right? If it turns out to be wrong, you would know in hindsight, oh God, nature was really testing me. I should have stayed there. And if it turns out to be right and the thing's open, now I know. Nature wanted to show me these things and I was resisting for nothing. Last week I went through a very strange experience. You'll be surprised how the nature gives you the message. Through a complete unrelated activity. And the reason I'm sharing with you is that if you are alert and aware and awake, you will see these kind of things nature sending you. What I was doing, I was downloading from the internet the wording of Hindi film songs and making a diary. Now there are about 13,000 songs typed up in Hindi in one of the websites. Now naturally my eye will catch the song which was in my memory from childhood. In so doing, I relived my entire life in 1 week. And the journey, and when that particular song from the film became part of my experience. And when that memory was crammed into 1 week, sudden realization that this all doesn't matter. Whether the child who is of 10 years or 50 years, nothing really matters. They all turn into just some kind of a memory. That's basically it. Now, had I known that 50 years ago, I would not have suffered living those memories. And I am now sitting here and saying, what a waste of suffering for that? How stupid. And suddenly, the present suffering disappeared. Because the secret was completely disclosed.
Say it again. Relived that 1 week.
Relived 64 years of life in 1 week.
What suffering are you talking about?
The current suffering.
Current suffering is like nothing. But what other suffering were you talking about?
When I was collecting those memories.
Any bad experience that
No, all of the bad experiences, because each song reminded of an era. This was when my mother died. This was when I was like this. This was my friends did this to me. This was when I did this. This was because by nature I am tragedian. I'm not a comedian.
I was going to say there should be a lot of happy moments in that song too.
And that's the point. That searching for the happiness in those times, when it turned into the non-happiness, it gave birth to a particular song. That became part of the memory. Reliving that memory brought reliving those moments. And after reliving it and looking back and saying, I wish I had known this. I wish I can. And then the realization, no, somebody even told you, you wouldn't accept it. You wouldn't buy it. Because you are going through right now. You are telling everybody around, this is what it is. This is what is going to be. How many are listening? Let him. But how meaningless the suffering is while going through life, giving so much importance to a particular event leads to the suffering when that is just an event.
Point in time. Important.
And that is the point I am making. If you were to be told, or if you were to accept, you are putting undue importance to this few days, few months, or few years ago, it is going to become completely benign. There will be nothing with it. How much free you would be. But that is the key. Those who have accepted it. For me, the lesson was, well, forget you didn't accept it here. Do you accept it now? Right? Suffering hasn't disappeared.
Now we're more inclined to.
Right? Society doing this, friends doing that, family doing this, children doing that. All those things are still there. I can sit and suffer for every one of them, including saying, what is this Santana Gurdwara management doing to me? Right?
That's kind of what you're going through, then you would have said yes to what you heard.
I haven't said no. But that offer was made to me this morning. That's what everybody's asking me. Did you read the email or not? That email came this morning.
You still had a dilemma when you
Yeah, I came here. I was debating
came, debating about it.
to say, because I was, that wasn't a suffering. I'm saying that I was in that mode. Is the nature telling me enough is enough? Wrap it up. How? Look at, for the last year and a half, you have been pushed and pushed and pushed and pulled this way, and how much emotional trauma and the sangat around you have gone through. And that's not the objective of this. Okay. So I was going through this.
We can say, look at it other way, that in the big picture this is a small insignificant event. When we go through some events which hurt us, so instead of taking seriously,
Yeah. Whichever way you want to come to it, whichever way you come to it, I mean, it is completely, that's what the inner journey is, and that's what this is saying. Man khoj marg. What is the rest of the world doing? Now, what we were doing before, you're going to find the list. Bhagavati rahat jugta, jogi kahat mukta, tapsi tape rata. Everyone is doing, everybody is telling different ways of doing bhakti. And if you don't go to the bhakti marg, you go to yogis and they say, come to us, we are the only route to the mukti. And you go to some others who is into a pure tapscharya, they will tell you, just day and night, just continue doing this, that's the way. Moni monadhari, sannyasi brahmachari, udasi udasarata. Some will say, just don't talk. Take silence, complete. Moni literally means not to speak at all. Completely forgetting the fact that not using the words does not mean that you are silent. Right? Silence has very, very little to do with the words. Because the inner noise is sometimes louder than your outer noise. Moni monadhari, sannyasi brahmachari. Now the translation of the brahmacharya is to not to let the sexual energy flow outward. The one who stops that is called a brahmacharya. Nothing could be further from the truth. It is acharan like Brahma. But that's how they translated it. Even though Bhakt Kabir made fun of them. बिंद राख जो तरिए भाई खुसरे क्यों ना ब्रह्मगत पाए. If by blocking the sexual energy you can achieve nirvana, then all of the eunuchs should be all Brahmgyanis. They are naturally blocked. Stop fooling yourself. उदासी उदास रहता, छोड़ दिया घर पर, just get out of the world and just leave everything behind and run out. भगत नवे प्रकारा पंडित वेद पुकारा गृहस्थी गृहस्थ धर्माता. They are saying there are 9 types of different bhakti marga, and the people who are on the Gyan Marg, Pandit, they are continuously saying study the Vedas, and those who don't want to any one of them, they say, well, संसार से भागे फिरते हो, भगवान को भी क्या पाओगे. गृहस्थी गृहस्थ, they are very very much saying, oh, that is the real dharma. Grihastha dharma is the real dharma. What is it? एक शब्दी बहुरूप अवधूता कापड़ी कौते जगूता एक तीर्थ नाता. There are people who are saying just take one word and just stay on the word. Kapadi, and those are who basically know you need to dress up properly, and this color helps you do that, and that color helps you to do that. And there are others who are saying, ek tirath nata, go from one tirath to the other, to the other, to the other, go just from place to place and take a bath in those holy waters. निर्हार वर्ती अपर सा एक लूक न देवे दर सा एक मन ही गया था. There are people who do not allow others to not only touch them but not even come in their shadow. Aparas, don't touch. निर्हार वर्ती अपर सा एक लूक न देवे दर सा. And there are others who just want to stay locked inside. I am not seeing anybody, nobody is going to see me. That's what happened to Mirabai. I told you the story. She literally broke the door down, and the person got angry, said, you destroyed my meditation of so many years. I had never seen a woman. And Mirabai looks at him and says, I thought there was only one man and his name was Krishna on this earth. Everybody else was a woman. All you need to do is look at your picture in the mirror and you've seen a woman. There's only one man. I haven't met other man yet. So stop deluding yourself. That's our way of looking at it. But the people, ek man hi gya tha. And there are others who make argument. I am a Sikh from inside. I don't need to be a Sikh from outside. We hear that argument all the time. Right? Aji andaro Sikh haan. Baron ki lod hai. If reality is, if you became a Sikh from inside, you will automatically become a Sikh from outside. It is impossible to not to reflect the inner changes on the outside. It's impossible. If you are sad, doesn't the sadness show on the face? If you are happy, doesn't the happiness show on the face? If you are angry, Doesn't the anger show on the face? If you are excited, doesn't the excitement show in your body? You're trying to tell me that you are a true Sikh from inside and it won't show on your face? It's an impossibility.
If you're sick as a student,
That's the point. It will reflect in your entire being that you are a Sikh.
you're not referring to
No, I'm not talking of that. I mean, how can you be a Sikh and be arrogant? How can you be a Sikh and be egotistical? How can you be a Sikh and fight a political power base? You are not a Sikh. You don't know what Sikhism is about. Shishya, the one who hasn't learned everything yet, the one who is still a student, has absolutely no grounds for saying, I know it. And we have the tendency to cut the people off in the mid-sentence and say, I know that, stop this, I know it. This is our very common habit. We interrupt the people. Yeah, I know the Darwin theory, so stop this nonsense. If you know the Darwin theory, then you should be here and I should be there. And even if you know it, you are confusing the information with the knowing. You don't know the Darwin theory. You just know about the Darwin theory. But we forget that. What are those? एक मन ही गया था, वो अपने अंदर अंदर ज्ञानी बने बैठे ने. एक मन ही गया था, घाट ना किन ही कहाया. What a beautiful line. घाट ना किन ही कहाया. Gurbani says, there yet a human to be born who would sincerely know it and declare to the world, I know nothing. There is not a single one. घाट ना किन ही कहाया. There is not a single one who is willing to be called a simple person, a chota. Not a single one. Reality is our growth starts when we say, stop treating me like a child, I know it. Isn't it? When a child stands in front of the parents and say, don't treat me like a child anymore. I'm grown up now. And then the children, well, you are only 6. No, 6.5. And you can see that eye shining through every little statement. घाट ना किन्हीं कहाया, सब कहते हैं पाया. Everybody is out there declaring, I got it, I know it, I have achieved it. I meet so many of these who come to me and say, I am already a Brahmgyani. If you want something, come to me. And then I say, well, I haven't got anything, so I'll come to you. And then I go to them. And then after a while, they will check with me. Felt any difference? Why are you asking me? I thought you already got it. If I got it, wouldn't you know it? Oh. See, you don't look at me as your guru, do you? No. Well, then you're not going to get it. Thank you, sir. I am not going to get it. And I have played that drama so many times with so many people. There's one right here in Los Angeles. But Gurbani says that's not how it's going to happen. How does it happen? Jis mele so bhagta. You will know that he will come in the house of his grace and a prasad will dawn on you suddenly, and you will know he is sending you something. Just the kind of the example I just gave you, that at that moment in time and space, when those things were going through my inner system and I was laughing at myself at the same time, crying at myself and saying, oh, I wish I knew this. When I was going through these moments, I wish this knowledge, this experience was available to me. Just reliving this, and suddenly 60 years collapsed into 6 seconds, and it didn't mean much of a hell of a difference. Because when you look at the relative timeline of movement of the space and the time, how large is 60 years on this planet? How significant is that? And suddenly I remembered the story. Socrates, the person who had bought the entire village, went to meet Socrates, and he was just sitting on the beach very quietly. He goes there and to meet him, and he gets a little antsy. Don't you know who I am? He says, no, who are you? He said, I'm the one on whose land you are sitting. I own this beach, and you are so disrespectful to me? And he said, I'm sorry, please sit down. And he had a little pouch with him, and he takes a map. And on that map, he has the map of the Greece. And he said, could you please show me on this map the land you own? So he draws his circle. Say, okay. And where is your house on this land? And he puts his finger on a spot and says, this is where the house is. He folds the map, and now he has a map of the world. And he said, could you please tell me where the land you own is? Well, that's not visible on this. Oh, your land is not visible. How about your house? Is you making fun of me? He said, no, I'm not. I'm just trying to know. Sir, what will happen if I show you the land of the map of the universe? Here, take these two maps as a gift from me, and every time this statement bothers you, don't you know who I am? Try to find yourself on the map, and you will know who you are. And we complain, say, oh, 53 years old, died so young. Isn't it? Oh, 100 years okay, but 53 is not. And Gurbani says, you're not going to get it. So what you do? Just seek the grace. जिस मेले सो भक्ता सगल उक्त पावा त्यागी शरण पावा नानक गुर चरण पराता. How do you seek the grace? They surrender. All of the karam, sagal ukat upava, all the things that has been said before. Upava means all the techniques that have been talked about. They are not going to help you. What's going to help you? Tyagi saranapava. Surrender. Both positive and negative. Where? Nanak Gur Charan Parata. Those who have gone ahead of you, the Guru, the Master. Surrender yourself and you will get the secret. Without that, you will be in all of those things which you have been going through so far. That concludes the Ashatpadi, and we start on a new topic today, because I promised